welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, the number one network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the number one sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners across the pond in London, England, as well as Latin America. And of course, you good old boys in Canada, Big C. But there's no one we love more than the good old boys down south in the land of the free and the home of the brave. Big C, how's it going for all you good old boys down south?
Charlton, everything's exciting down here in the southern part of the U.S. We're waiting on the next hurricane to show up to show our resilience and everything. But, the world of sports is hot tonight, Charlton, with Major League Baseball, WNBA, college football. This is an exciting world getting ready for the weekend.
Well, it's always exciting, Big C, especially in the land of the free and the home of the brave. I do want to say today is a beautiful October the 5th, 2017 in the land of the free and the home of the brave. A lot of good things happening in the world of sports. Of course, our thoughts still go out to all the people that were affected by the tragedy, the massacre, the U.S. massacre in Las Vegas. And, of course, we still are dealing with hurricane victims. But there's always something to take your mind off of it because you can't just focus on what's wrong all the time. Big C, we do want to crown the WNBA champions last night from Minnesota, of all places. They went out to L.A. and they beat the L.A. Sparks. So congratulations, Minnesota. And Big C, your thoughts on WNBA basketball?
Well, Charles, it's just a fantastic strategic game that these women play, led by Myra Moore. The Minnesota Lynx won the championship once again. You know, when you think about the competitive nature of the WNBA, Charlton, it's just a shame that it's backed up against so many other major sports in the U.S. You got, the playoffs going on in baseball, which is commanding probably about 80% of the television viewing on it. You got college football going on, Charlton, and so many other things. But these women play a fantastic game. Play kudos to the Minnesota Lynx. Them and the Sparks, they become that rivalry. When you look at them, they remind you of the Celtics.
And the Lakers back in the day.
80s, Charlton.
Yeah.
Such a competitive contest between these two. They only, a couple points decide each game, Charlton. That's how close they are in talent. But the WNBA, if not for lacking the dunk shot, I think that's what draws so many people to the NBA.
Yeah.
Is everybody's looking for that highlight reel dunk. But as far as technical basketball, passing precision, shooting the ball, Charlton, these women are as fine as any athletes on the planet.
Oh, yeah, they definitely are, Big C. You know what thing I learned about watching WNBA? You watch the fundamentals. Because back in the day when people played basketball and they didn't care much about the slam dunk, it was about spacing. It was about being in the right spot to create the screens and then tapping off the screens and playing good defense. And now it seems like, well, of course, that doesn't make the ESPN Sports Center. But the guys that play the game, and of course they have fundamentals too, but it's more exciting when a guy can dunk a basketball, or they'll have a Zach LaVine, or even going back to the days of Michael Jordan, and people wanted to see if Jordan could really jump from the line. Now everybody's dunking basketballs, but in WNBA, you see more of the fundamentals. Big C, do you think that is what the game is lacking? They don't have anyone that can dunk a basketball too much. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, this is a throwback to basketball in the 70s, when the dunk was taken out back in the early 60s.
Yeah.
Because of Lou Alcindor, and it really wasn't him, but they used him as an excuse because of his height. But, fundamental basketball was so sound. You think about great coaches like John Wooden.
Oh, yeah.
Guys who taught the fundamentals of the game, who developed players, who had ball handling skills, who had defensive skills, because they worked on the technical aspect of the game so much. That's what you get from the WNBA, is the technical aspect. And you look at the coaches, and most of these coaches have played in the NBA, Charlton, that are coaching in the WNBA.
Yeah.
So they're taking the fundamentals that they knew from basketball, incorporating it into the women's game, which is a great game. You think about Gina Mariema on the college level, and the UConn Lady Huskies. How many championships have they won? How competitive? You think about the 100-game win streak that they've had.
Very impressive.
Never will be surpassed.
Yeah.
But in men's basketball, UCLA, I believe, had an 88-game win streak.
Yep, not by Notre Dame.
Think about these women that have gone out and eclipsed that twice.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because of fundamental basketball. And when UCLA, Charlton, think about this. When they had those lengthy win streaks, they played fundamental basketball. The dunk was not in play.
That's a very good point. I do want to say today's segment sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you. Another thing that you bring up about the dunk and how the dunk in the NBA is only second now to the three-point, or maybe it's even better, but you can only dunk so many ways. But seeing guys hit three-pointers, even the guys like Steph Curry, and you have guys like J.R. Smith from Cleveland, they'll shoot their threes where it should be a 4-point basket, because now that's the sexy thing. How far can the guy step back from the basket and throw up a three? And you know, when the dunk came in, and this is something I want to ask you, even though we have a guy like Jordan that made it a lot of, fame on Air Jordan, the Air shoes, because he could fly through the air. Well, Jordan did not participate in more than a couple NBA dunk competitions, unlike Vince Carter and, Dominique Wilkins, those guys from back in the day. You have guys today like Zach LaVine that may never win an NBA championship, but there's no one that can dunk like him and Gordon, not even Jordan, not even Dominique Wilkins from back in the day. Big C, your thoughts?
Charlton, he was just the most notarized dunker.
Yeah.
That was it. I mean, there was players even in the early dunk contest. I mean, Dr. J, wrong slide to dunk, but he didn't even win the initial contest. He got the title.
Yeah.
He was beaten out by a player named Darnell Hillman, but they gave it to Dr. J, who had the more famous name.
Yeah.
We've had great dunkers over the decades, Charlton. I mean, Dominique Wilkins was even robbed of a title in the dunk contest. I mean, he scored a few perfect dunks and still didn't win the dunk contest.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not a popularity contest, Charlton. In the early days of the dunk contest, now you got the guys that are showing up that no one knows. They're bench players.
Yep.
They come in, they're such tremendous athletes that they put on these elaborate shows in the dunk contest. They win the dunk contest and they go back into obscurity. There's no marketing anymore behind the dunk contest, Charlton.
Yeah.
It's just a highlight reel. That's all it is.
And I think I was in Oakland back in the day. I think it was 2000. Vince Carter had a dunk, and he actually hung on the rim with his elbow. The inside of his elbow was hanging on the rim. That was spectacular. But you know what's really missing? Kobe Bryant retired a couple seasons ago, but you never really saw Kobe, and you never saw LeBron James going up against each other in a dunk contest. If you're doing it for the fans, you would think the fans would rather see their heroes, or at least, let me put it this way, the guys that the media companies have made famous because their name sells more than how well they win a dunk or lose a dunk contest. Could you imagine what it would be like if LeBron James lost a dunk contest to a guy like Zach LaVine, who's not the most popular guy or well-known guy in the NBA, but it would take the shine off of some of the guys that we've been paid to watch. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, the dunk contest, Charlton, is about creativeness. It's artistry.
Yeah.
And so when you think about a lot of the superstars in the NBA, they don't have the legs of the guys who are not playing every night. Okay?
Yeah.
That's a big difference. When your legs are tired, you're not going to get the elevation.
That's true.
The fanfare of these great players is that you don't pit them against guys that you know they're going to lose against.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the thing in sports. You're not going to send someone out there that you know they're going to lose against an unknown.
Yeah.
It doesn't work in your favor from a marketing perspective. And we know that the NBA is all about marketing. It's about branding.
Yeah.
And so you take these guys and you say, LaVine, who knows who he is, Charlton? No one.
Yeah.
Unless you follow the dunk contest, this is a guy that doesn't average 5 points in 10 minutes a game.
Yeah, that's a very good point. So they got to make sure. I remember Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls, are Magic Johnson and the LA Lakers, Larry Bird and the Boston Celtics. Who's that good old boy that you liked a lot, Big C? I know that a great announcer that's done everything. He's kind of been in and out of trouble too. Marv Albert is his name.
Marv Albert.
Yeah, I love Marv. I love the way he calls. Yeah. He needed a mouthpiece from back in the day, Big C. I sure understand that. But I do want to say congratulations to the Minnesota Lynx, WNBA champions. I hope that WNBA will consider doing what college football and NFL football does. They play consecutively, same seasons. Also, when you look at college basketball, the men's and the women, they don't wait till men's basketball's over and then bring in the women to play the game. They run it concurrently, so you're always in the mood for it. And there's a basketball season the way there's a football season and a baseball season. And WNBA too often is competing against baseball, and I think that's why their ratings are down. I hope they at least give it a thought, Big C. I do want to touch on something that you brought up. I know we have the NBA is great, and some people say there's too many games. You just brought up something about the old guys and their legs not holding up, Big C. Is Adam Silver considering shortening the games from the 82 to 70 or 75, they would have to find a way to make up that revenue because it's all about the money. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, it is all about the money, Charlton. But, when you think about cutting 8 games off of a season, 10 games off a season, it's not detrimental. What the league can actually do in doing that, Charlton, is expansion. If they expanded the league by 2 more teams, Charlton, put a team back in Seattle where it's sorely needed.
Oh, yeah.
Look at Las Vegas because they have the arena, they have the hockey team, and they're going to have an NFL team, so you might as well put the NBA in there because now that's a vacation game for all the players. Okay?
Yeah.
So, this is what has to be looked at. If they do a reduction, they have to do an expansion at the same time. So you don't lose revenue because you've increased teams, so that amount of games is still on the slate, Charlton.
That's a very good point.
That's how you balance the slate financially, is that you increase revenue by putting 2 new teams in. There's going to be more money NBA-wise because now you're expanding your television contract.
Yep.
You're expanding your travel and everything else. So this is what needs to be done. Put the teams in, reduce it down, because players are sitting all the time, Charlton. This is nothing new.
Yeah.
It's not a modern thing. Teams have always rested superstars on back-to-back road trip games. They've done that over the decades.
Yeah, that's a good point. Big C, you brought up going back up to the Northwest. I remember when Vancouver had a team and they went down to Memphis. Vancouver's a great city. I know they have a lot of attraction in the great Northwest. If you're in the Seattle market, you can watch the Seattle Supersonics back in the day. You can watch the Vancouver Grizzlies, not that far drive from each other. And now you got to go to another state. You got to watch the Portland Trailblazers play. But I thought basketball would be great on the West Coast. In Canada, there's a lot of money. They just have to market it right because the way that it's a hockey town and the CFL's there and they have a lot of other teams that are around the Northwest region. But it would be great to see another NBA basketball team in Canada. We already have Toronto on the east coast of Canada. Do you think they would even ever consider bringing basketball back to Vancouver? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, I think Seattle would be the more interesting market, Joseph, because they had the Supersonics. They won an NBA title there. The name is still in place. But, the move from Vancouver down to Memphis, was a geographical nightmare.
Yeah.
It was hard to understand how you had 3 teams so geographically close.
Yeah.
You had Vancouver, you had Seattle, and you had Portland. Seattle sit in the middle of them, and you had about a 4 or 5 hour drive each way to be in each one of those states and provinces, Charlton.
Yeah.
But, Seattle is where the NBA is needed to be. Also Vegas, Charlton.
Yeah.
Think about it. They have the NHL.
Big C, let me ask you a question. I know you love Vegas, but you seem to want every franchise in Vegas. Is that for your entertainment, Big C, or for the sports teams, Big C? Your thoughts? Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
You can actually talk to them when they're in the casino. You're going to have the 2 other major franchises there. You got the NHL there.
Yeah.
You got the Raiders supposedly going to be there in 2 to 3 years, Charlton.
Yeah.
So why not put the NBA? You got the T-Mobile Arena right downtown.
Yeah.
It's a natural. Everybody's in Vegas. You will always have a sellout in Vegas because you have so many people coming to Vegas for entertainment.
Yeah.
Now you got an NBA game that you're throwing in to go on top of your vacation.
Yeah.
It's a can't-miss prospect, Jonathan, having the NBA in Las Vegas.
And you can imagine how the hotels with the comp, people, even with all the tragedy down there, and finding a way. I mean, people are always going to go, and there's going to have to obviously be a way to figure out security and maybe, I mean, I just wonder if this weekend for football games, the outdoor stadiums, I mean, people don't even think about it, but we already had some incidents over in Europe, and now we have this thing down in Vegas with the concert. So hopefully security would be all over that because we really got to find a way to keep people safe. I do want to say that sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. And for every sporting event, you need athletic and event insurance. We work with Ben and Mark. They cover athletes from pro teams, collegiate teams, your high school teams, even your mom and pop soccer leagues. And when you reach out to them, let them know that Big C sent you. And Big C, thinking of Big C, we have baseball tonight, and we have your favorite team, the Cleveland Indians, Big C. They're playing the Yankees. Obviously, this is a game that links the East Coast, kind of the Eastern time zone together. Cleveland just came up a little bit short last year in the Big C World Series. The Yankees really hadn't won a playoff series since 2012. Just give me your thoughts on how well the Yankees hit the bats. I still think Cleveland has a better team, but baseball is more exciting to me when you have the Yankees, the Bronx Bombers, in the playoffs in the World Series. Big C, your thoughts?
Yeah, Charlton, excitement back
Yeah.
into the playoffs this year by making it, and they're bringing the long ball along with them.
Yeah.
They got a couple of great young hitters.
Yeah.
But the Cleveland Indians seem to be a team of destiny, Charlton. They've led from start to finish in the American League. You know, they have the big bats, they have the great pitching staff, and in playoffs, that's what you got to have as a pitching
Yeah.
staff. We saw the other night where the Yankees had to rely on their bullpen to win a game. You
Yeah.
can't count on that every night. You got to get 6-7 solid innings out of your starters, Charlton, if you hope to win a series in the playoffs. The
Yeah.
Cleveland Indians are built for that. And when you think about Francona as a manager, he's done a masterful job back-to-back seasons, Charlton, putting the Indians in this position.
Yeah.
Joe Girardi did a wonderful job. The Yankees weren't even in the playoffs last year. This year they captured the wild card berth into the playoffs.
Yeah.
And just, 4 games away from making it to the World Series right now.
And when you talk about the playoffs, Big C, I want to say congratulations to Arizona and Colorado. Congratulations as well. But this is a series that is intriguing, and I wonder what Las Vegas thinks about Arizona and the Dodgers. I think for TV purposes and the network purposes, they need the Dodgers to get past this first series. They need to get them back to the NLCS where they're playing, perhaps people like to see them playing against Chicago. So Arizona's scary though, Big C. Would you, Greinke's a great player. He's a great pitcher. He knows the Dodgers. He knows how their pitch. He knows their hitters. Is that a game that concerns you if you're Las Vegas? And I know you love Vegas so well, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, if you're Vegas, you're betting on the Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
Because they've handled the Dodgers in the second half of the season.
Yeah.
And we know that Kershaw hasn't been that great the past
In the
couple years
playoffs,
of the
yeah.
season.
Yeah.
He's gotten lit up the past couple of postseasons. If you remember a couple of years ago when the Mets got passed.
Yeah.
In Game 7. So he's not the stopper that he is during the regular season. I guess he pitches too many innings and he gets tired for the postseason. But
Yeah.
the Dodgers, when you lose 16 or 17 of your last
Yeah,
games, you scared
that's not
nobody.
good.
The girls' softball team was talking about let's go play.
Yeah, they might beat them too. I hear UCLA has a good softball team in LA, but obviously Chavez Ravine. You look at Tom Minnesota territory from all the great. I think they have a great statue out there. Some former players. I think of all the times that you go down to Los Angeles and you think about baseball. I know Anaheim's in LA, but there's south of Los Angeles in Orange County. But Dodgers. I think about why won't we ever see a Dodger-Yankee World Series? If it can happen, this seems to be the year, but the Yankees are probably a year away from having the team that a lot of people thought they would have. And if the Dodgers don't get through this year, I don't think they would disband that team, but it just seems like this is the best time and the best circumstances for to get in. They got the best worker in the NL, but it just seems like what you brought up about Kershaw, you can't really count on him when you need him the most, even though he's making 7 figures, Big C, but the $100+ million contract. I hope he can earn it this offseason, in this baseball postseason. Your thoughts on why he just can't get it done compared to what he's done over the years, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when you look at during the regular season, you face everybody.
Yeah.
In the playoffs, you're facing the best of the best. You're
Yeah.
facing a team that's just as good as you every night that you're out there.
Yeah.
And they got hitters that have spent a lot of time waiting on you to come to the mound.
Yeah.
And during the regular season, there's a lot of different rotation changes
Yeah.
as far as lineup goes.
Yeah.
But here you're going to get your steady starters night in and night out. They're going to put the best bats out there to face you.
Yeah.
They're going to load up that lineup, Charlton, with hitters that you don't want to face. You
Yeah.
want to see more left-handed hitters in the playoffs than what you're accustomed to seeing, where during the regular season, you might see 5 or 6 right-handed bats.
Yeah.
In the playoffs, you're going to see 6 left-handed, 7 left-handed hitters. So that's the biggest change that Kershaw has to face. But like I said, he's pitched so many innings during the regular
Yeah.
season, Charlton, that he is wearing down because he's a big man.
Yeah.
And so that stamina is a question mark. What type of condition is he in when it comes to this part of the season? And we know he had some arm problems midway through the season.
That's a very good point, Big C. As we transition over into the NFL, we have the Patriots, and they're playing tonight at Tampa. But before we even get on that, I want to bring up former NFL MVP Cam Newton, and I think there's a yogurt company that took away the sponsorship because of how he handled the reporter. I guess he thought he was Donald Trump, Big C, but they say it doesn't work when you're black, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, a lot of this is backlash, Charlton, from the players taking a stance.
Yeah.
I understand the insensitivity of Cam Newton making a statement, that he laughed, because a female reporter asked him about route running.
Yeah.
And, he looked at it as being comical.
Yeah.
If you'd have said, all sports writers, and,
Yeah.
Because you think about the bashing that Cam Newton took from every sports writer after the loss of the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And the things that were said about him. That's acceptable when the sports writers are saying it.
Yeah.
But if you challenge any individual in the sports sector, then, Madison Avenue is looking at you differently, almost as you're a racist or a sexist.
Yeah.
But, comments were made against Cam Newton by both male and female reporters. No one lost their job. No one was, sanctioned by the NFL.
No.
Cam Newton is being put under the bus because of that comment. Fair or unfair.
Yeah.
This is the freedom of speech act that we come about. It reminds me of what ESPN did to Janelle Hill a couple of weeks ago.
For telling the truth. For telling the truth.
All of a sudden they want to reprimand her for being accurate and telling the truth.
Yeah, I agree, Big C. And I'll bring something up too. It's a different sport, but it's how people are handled. Now, here's a coach that everybody loves in the NBA, Greg Pop. And when Pop talks to anybody, any reporter, male or female, he's a little terse in his remarks, and oftentimes very condescending, often to the point of where he's uncomfortable. And I've heard female reporters saying, I like him as a coach, but as a person, he's too sullen. He's too, I guess, direct or not friendly. And maybe he hadn't got the last media pass, but I've never heard him being, going to lose a sponsorship. And I don't know if he has them, but he's never come under the radar the same way Cam Newton did for something that's very innocuous. Because just your thoughts,
Nick Saban said to reporters.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Nobody's ever gone after Nick.
No.
And he's been as evil as he can when he talk about dressing down reporters.
Yeah, and I've seen that, and you've heard it very much. And being inside of locker rooms, and sometimes, going back to even John Gruden when I started back in the day over in Oakland covering the Raiders. And he wasn't always the friendliest. Even Jim Harbaugh, that was kind of curt with his remarks as a coach, didn't stop him from getting on, $10 million to coach Michigan. And I think of so many other athletes. I'm not defending Cam Newton. I'm saying there's a lot of people in our society where there's a Mark Cuban, or even of course, Pop, Steve Kerr for Golden State. These guys don't always have a lot to say when they're doing their reporting or when they're talking to a commentator. I just think it's unfair that you single out some guy. It just happened to be a black man all of a sudden. I wonder where that comes from. That must be the first time in history. Because let's just be real. If you look at leadership from the top down, some of these same major networks and corporations and team owners that gave money to Donald Trump for talking about grabbing women by the vagina, how much more condescending can you be than that? And they still back the president with money. And the same president that talks about rough them up when you arrest them, they still get a lot of support from POTUS. The same guy that hands out, paper towels to flood victims in Puerto Rico, no one's calling to say, well, that's too much over the top. But you take an athlete that maybe came across strong. He thought it was Donald Trump. I think, and I'm serious about that, a lot of people think that they can say the same thing that POTUS does, but I think Cam Newton just realized when you're black, you're not going to get that same leverage, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, and he said it in a joking way, Joe.
Yeah, I know.
He wasn't condescending.
I know.
He was kind of laughing. He just said, it seems odd that a female reporter is asking about routes.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that they're not professionals.
No.
When I was playing the game when they finally let female reporters into the locker room.
Yeah.
Which was kind of offensive in a way to us. Because male reporters are not allowed into a female volleyball team locker room.
No.
Or a female baseball team locker room.
No.
They weren't allowed into the Minnesota Lynx locker room last night after the victory.
Nope.
So, it's a double standard. And so men have always been, at odds with this position. We understand that they have a job to do, and there's some great reporters. Whether it's print, whether it's television, whether it's radio. Great female reporters out there, Charlton.
Yeah.
But it's kind of offensive in ways that you're challenged. It's that machoism in America.
Yeah.
And we've seen it in all sports where female reporters and even male reporters.
Yeah.
I remember Ryan Leaf years ago when he grabbed the reporter in the San Diego Chargers locker room.
Yeah.
He didn't lose anything behind it.
No.
He ended up losing his career, but it wasn't behind the reporter.
It wasn't behind that. You're right.
He attacked the reporter. There's been many other athletes who attack reporters.
Yeah.
Who haven't lost their jobs, who haven't been suspended, Charlton. These things happen. But, it's based on the tension that's going on between the athletes and this thing with the flag. But think about this, Charlton.
Yeah.
I had this thought today.
Yeah.
Everybody's talking about the athletes taking a stance and not standing for the flag or locking arms.
Yeah.
Okay, what's more disrespectful to the flag? the people in the stadium booing are the players standing there at attention.
That's a good point. They're booed through the national anthem. Yeah.
People booing
Yeah.
while the national anthem is playing. And they say that's American to boo during the national anthem and make racial slurs and yell during the national anthem. So who has the most disrespect for the flag? It's not the players, Charlton.
That's a very good point.
It's not the players disrespecting the fans. The flag, it is those fans that are in the stands.
Yeah.
And I guarantee that 95% of them are Caucasian.
Well-
Sitting up there yelling and booing during the national anthem. I guess they call that American, Charlton.
Well, you know, I just thinking back when young kids ask about the how to behave, and they always talk about no sexual assault and, you know, how to be anti-sexual violence and no sexual assault against women, and we got to make sure we enforce that point. But it's almost like seeing an elephant walk in the room. People act like they didn't see it. I think any man that says anything that could be maybe misconstrued as derogatory against women, I keep thinking about grab him by the vagina, and he said a more, you know, accurate anatomy word. And I think that he still gets a lot of people that don't even chastise him because, oh, that was back in the day. That was a long time ago. And I just think that's unfair, but we know that happens. Big C, as we close out, I do want to ask you a little bit about tonight's football game. We have the ageless Tom Brady, I mean, not ageless when it comes to the record, against the up-and-coming Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which I think is a very good football team. And Winston can probably be a great quarterback if they keep working with him because he's definitely talented enough. Big C, your thoughts on New England going into Tampa? I think they're favored by 5 tonight. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you know, the line will change by the kickoff thoughts because Gronkowski is not going to be playing.
Oh, really?
But also Brandon Cooks has been stepping up at wide receiver. You think about the Pats offense, Charlton, they have the highest scoring offense in the NFL.
Yeah.
And you know, they're only 2-2, but they also have the worst defense in the NFL, so they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they got 2 games, and they lost 2 games.
Yeah.
But you look at Tampa Bay, they're undefeated, Charlton. You talk about the development of a Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
First quarterback in NFL history to pass over 4,000 yards his first 2 seasons in the NFL.
That's amazing.
And, you know, Dirk Gunner's doing a great job offensively down there with Jameis. He's
Yeah.
surrounding him with a lot of weapons. He got Evans, he's got Jackson.
Yeah.
He has the big rookie tight end, you know, out of Alabama. That defense is solid in Tampa. So this is going to be a real challenge for New England. You think about this. This is a team that's going from AstroTurf to
Yeah.
grass.
Yeah.
That generally slows the team down, and your footing's a little different.
Yeah.
So New England is going to have to find a way to play better defense because they've been lit up every week, Charlton, through the air.
Yeah.
You know, Cam Newton lit them up last week. Everybody said Cam was washed up.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he played New England and got healthy. Jameis Winston has been on a hot streak.
Yeah.
So he can have a great game tonight against this, you know, New England defense.
Well, I'm going to bring up something that's a little bit silly, so I hope no one gets mad, but Cam Newton goes into New England and beats America's prodigal quarterback and Tom Brady, then he loses a Dannon commercial, Big C. I just wonder if there's any type of correlation because it's still, I don't think any guy can say anything more vile than grab them by the vagina and you can get away with it. I guess Donald was right, but that doesn't apply for all people. I just want to make sure we bring that up. Big C, last thing I'll bring up. You know, in the world of sports, we do look at it as cathartic. There are a lot of people that can use sports and they can get away from a lot of pain. And with all the pain that happened down in Las Vegas, I still wanted to say our thoughts and prayers go out to them. And I know that sports can turn things around, at least for moments. And so I appreciate so much of what we're able to do, just speaking from the heart about why we love this business so much. And I hope that people can find a little bit of solace in watching some of the sporting teams as they compete to kind of get our mind off of the pain. Big C, back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Bondini Brown. He was Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young men rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Well, Charlton, I'm going to go off your lead. What I'm looking at is the Houston Astros. You talk about the pain and suffering
Yeah.
of a region, of a community. Houston has gone through as much as anybody, Charlton.
Yeah.
But tonight, the Astros playing, you know, Altuve, who's their MVP candidate,
Yeah.
hit 3 solo home runs tonight in a victory for the Houston Astros for their first playoff win, you know, in decades down there. The first ever in Minute Maid Park.
Yeah.
Down in Houston. So the Houston Astros are uplifting the spirits of that Houston community. Deshaun Watson did it last week.
Yep.
You know, throwing the 4 touchdowns and running for 1. So they have a great feel-good story down in Houston with all the tragedy and strife of the community, they have a couple of sports teams, Charlton, that is just playing on the top of the heap at the moment.
And that's very good, Big C. So hopefully people can galvanize behind that. And every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide, follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. We always want to tell you there's never, ever any excuse for domestic violence. No woman should ever have to go through that garbage. If you know anyone in trouble, just call 911 so no one has to deal with that garbage all on their own. And as we tell you, on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.